Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles and bishops of Great Millstone, to the Akim Akwaf, try the falcons of the earth, holding on in sincerity and truth and diligence of mind, to the gospel of the Lord Amashak Yahushua in these days and times. Shalom, shalom. This is Brother Menashe at DC Camp. Another brief and short lesson for the hopeful elect. So it just goes into, this lesson will be going into being circumspect as per the so-called policies of Babylon, all right? The agenda of the elites, right? What they like to say quietly, but has a lot of impact on people's lives, all right? So you just have to, pay attention to the news, listen to those speeches that seem a little bit uninteresting, but down the line it becomes a major hot topic. So that's one thing about this ministry, O Lord Amashak Yahushai. The Spirit would always keep your mind focused on the agenda that the elites have planned, to hold the people in utter confusion, to exploit them. So years ago, we had some type of protest going on in New York, and then the mayor of New York, Bloomberg, was connecting the protests with deportation. Yeah, he was saying that those that first generation or whatever immigrants and all that stuff that protesting, that they could face deportation. He basically let the cat out of the bag, and this was like almost about 10 years ago or so. Who knows? Yeah, almost 10 years ago. Yeah, if I'm right. Yeah, almost 10 years ago. Yeah, so you just have to be aware, man, that these elites, man, that are in public office, they have secret meetings that they usually discuss, what the big boss, what their bosses want them to consider and how they have to be on board. So that's what we've been seeing so far in the news, man. All these folks getting their visas revoked, all these folks that enrolled in universities, you have professors too. And then you have the folks that are undocumented. So, how Amalek is, man. Amalek likes to do things in secret without people knowing. But when people catch up, the Lord just look at them as if, what were they doing, all that stuff. So you just have to be aware, man. You have to be aware about how they manipulate the public with all these agendas to have their own influence. They have all these protests in such a way that they can use that opportunity, that crisis, to exert more power over other people. That's why Amalek has to be in control. He wants to be in control, wants to control all government agencies, man. If he doesn't find himself in control, he has to find a way to get up in there to steer that government agency in the direction he chooses. All right. So you gotta be careful, these days and times, man, because one little mistake, man, could cost you a lot, and it's sad. A lot of people are not aware about the plan of the elites. The intricate details. Only the men of the Lord have a better understanding about what they're trying to do, and that's what this ministry is all about. The ministry of Lord Mashiach Yahushua. It's about exposing the agenda of the elites, and the elites don't like it. That's why they attack Brother's channel. So let me not give a long speech, but you know how it is. You have to, speak nonetheless. So the book of Proverbs chapter 22 verse 3 says, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished." Okay, so one thing our people have to understand is that the elites are always about creating chaos, creating problems, so they can exploit it to trap people up. That's what Esau's system is judicial system is all about. It's all about entrapment. Okay, entrapping people for shekels, and the Lord has already made a declaration about that type of agenda, basically kidnapping people, holding people for ransom, holding people for ransom. So the book of Exodus chapter 21 verse 16 says, "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." So there's basically a huge weight, a large weight of judgment, a heavy matter that the Lord has proclaimed against Esau's system. It has to be condemned. It's on its way up. There is no hope for the system of America, man. There is no hope for its governors, its lawyers, its, mayors, senators. It's just death. Because when you build your system, your judicial system, to be gaining from holding people for ransom and all that stuff, what do you think the Lord has declared that has to happen? Death. So those that are guarding that type of judicial system, they deserve the judgment of the Lord. And it's a horrible thing, man. It's a horrible thing that a lot of these lawyers, judges, senators, and congressmen, and all these folks that control these government agencies, they'll never talk about this part out in their discussions. Exodus chapter 21 verse 16. "And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, but if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." All right. So when you have a school to prison pipeline, causing people to stumble and fall, and then making companies profiting off enslavement and incarceration, and the judicial system is a partner to that type of exploitation, what do you think, the Lord's judgment is? It's a huge sentence, against those that major partners, major players in this type of system. So, hey, it's what it is. The Lord said it. Those are not my words. Those are the words of the Lord. That it's a death sentence, and they can't shake it off. So, the Lord will hold them accountable. It's just the brutal part of the Lord's judgment. Because when you read the scriptures, you have the blessings and the curses and all that, in between. And then you understand that the Lord has rules. He has rules. And those that claim they want to be on the Lord's agenda, the Lord's righteous path, they have to accept the judgments of the Lord, and that's exactly what we have to deal with, man. As a man of the Lord, you have to accept the Most High's judgment. You have to pray that He has mercy, and you have to be able to put in that fight of faith that you'll be found worthy to receive mercy. Okay. Now we're going to read from the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 15. It says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Yeah, so the secrecy and all the deception of the elites, it's basically crumbling, and people are basically catching up. We have a better understanding that the America is on a collision course with its destruction, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. They see that the so-called federal government is not working in the interest of the people. They see the system of deception, division, and destruction, and they are upset. And it's just how it is. When the wicked and authority, the people mourn. Yeah, so the people are mourning. They're mourning about their property taxes and their home insurance going up. They can't afford to keep their homes. You have foreclosure waves and all that stuff that is just sitting in the shadows, and the banks are trying to hold it back. So it's horrible. It's a horrible series of events that it's just being kept out of the news. That's why as man of the Lord, you have to look at all this alternative news, and just separate the meat from the bones. All right, not every article is meant to be posted or to be or is worthy to make a lesson on, but at least take a mental note. All right, so that the system of America, this corporation, has its days numbered, and the elites want to keep their wealth, they want to keep their power, but they can't. They cannot. They owe the Lord so much. The Lord has put a bounty on their heads, on the Most High's hit list. So it doesn't matter how much they pay to have private security and all these agencies look out for their interest. It doesn't change anything. Then the Creator has a list of individuals, of the elites of this world, that He has to pronounce severe judgment against. There's nothing they can do. Just like they put folks, on the no-fly list, on the terrorist watch list, the Lord puts them on His list too. List of eternal damnation. And that's one thing they fear, that they're sad about, they don't really like to talk about. And when the Lord plagues them, with the judgment coming for them in the future, they lose sleep. They feel upset and sad. But hey, it's just the balance. It's the balance of the Most High's judgment. So let me see if I can play this short clip about the former mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg.
This is not a partisan issue, which is why we need bipartisan support to change the dialogue and fix the problem. And if we don't do this, our children will not have a future. The medicines and the projects and the inventions that we need for the future are now moving overseas. Too many of our businesses are depending on foreign workers they can't get, and so they're setting up operations, whether it's in Canada or in Mexico, whether it's in Europe or Asia. That's where the future is taking place.
Yep. So the issue is that the billionaires are the ones that decide what goes into the tax code, which laws get put on the books. All right, they're the ones that want to decide the levels of crimes and penalties and all that stuff. You know, they criminalize the actions of the people beneath them, while they get away, you know, with the same type of behavior. You know, so it's just how it is. You know, they control the purse of the government, they control the arms of the government. You know, so yeah, they could say, well, you know, they need to bring back all these jobs, all these manufacturing facilities, but what's the use? You know, the same billionaires that behind the proliferation of narcotics, all the so-called painkillers, you know, these drugs, was it Schedule 1 or Schedule 3 drugs on the streets, all these Oxycontin, all this opioid abuse, they're the ones behind it. You know, so it's just the sad part of watching these billionaires claiming to be on the side of the people, but at the same time they are destroying the people. They're taking away the rights of the people. You know, they busting up unions and all that stuff. They don't want to pay a fair wage. You know, and they destroy the economy. You know, with their so-called monetary policy, and they want to push their so-called CBDC. So it's looking bad. You know, it's looking bad for them. Every so-called good thing that they try to do basically doesn't move the needle. You know, because they do more harm than good. And their time of rulership is basically at an end, and the secrecy, you know, is basically gonna fall apart. It's basically falling apart. So Isaiah 29 and 15 says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakadash, and their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us?" All right. So when folks are protesting this so-called Israelis war crimes over there in the land of Israel against the Palestinians, all of a sudden, you know, their visas get revoked. You know, they use Homeland Security, they use Immigration and Custom Enforcement to shut the people down, you know, to destroy their path to stability. So it's just how bad, you know, things become for people that don't really know the whole, you know, they don't understand the big picture about why Amalek is doing these things. They create the problem, and then they want to say that, you know what, you know, they have the best solution. So it's just what it is. You know, it's just what it is. They revoke visas of all these students, you know, without the students knowing, and then all of a sudden the officers run up on people, the bomb rush, bomb rush people, block, you know, corner them while they're driving on the streets and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden they're handcuffed, taken to the detention facility. They're being made merchandise, because those detention facilities are not, you know, cheap to keep people there. You know, someone is getting paid to have those facilities open. So it's just how bad, you know, things get, and you just know that, you know, when the Lord decides to bring judgment upon these billionaires, it's, you know, something that the people will just like, oh well, and I guess they're not really special after all. So they know that the time is coming, and they are just worried. You know, now they have to go run into their bunkers and see how long the chaos above ground is going to continue, how long it's going to last. So it's just the bitter parts of prophecy. We're not in control of prophecy, but we know that the major actors and the minor actors and the events that will take place.
Used to take place in America, and it's not too late to stop this trend, but it's getting near the end of the road. We have to do something.
Yep. So there is no hope. There is no hope. Yeah, there is no hope. The immigration system is a cash cow. It's a cash cow for Esau. And they use the people as an opportunity to grab money from the government. That's what this private prison system is all about. This private detention facilities. It's all about, using the federal government as a cash cow to get contracts to house all these detainees. All right. So the book of Psalms, chapter 64 and 5, says this: They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? And that's all it is. So when the Mayor Bloomberg said that years ago about deporting protesters, I was like, well, that's just what's going to happen. And here we are, years later. All right, so we're not surprised that, it happens. Folks protesting against all these Israeli actions over there, they're having their visas revoked. And you see when the NYPD or any police agency arrests folks here on visas for protests and all that stuff, they automatically qualify for deportation. That's exactly what Amalek has been doing, and it's obvious. They can no longer deny it. They can no longer deny it that Amalek is the one that's pushing all this agenda on the masses. And when you have all this campaign for the New York mayor, all of a sudden, are you gonna visit the land of Israel? Are you gonna go there? Are you gonna do this and good? I'm like, oh, it's just sad that a lot of people refuse to wake up. But hey, that's on them. The Lord has put out that spirit of deep sleep, and whatever happens to the folks that refuse to wake up, they just have to bear the brunt of it, because the men of the Lord will do their part. So everyone will have to carry their own cross. That's one key point in this ministry. You have to bear your cross. All right. So let me get another precept. Book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 6. It says, shall the trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in a city, and the Lord had not done it? So that's the question that a lot of people need to consider. The judgments of the Lord. The judgments of the Lord upon a city. It's a very interesting topic to consider when you are examining prophecy, right? So when the Lord, grants the elites of this world to bring evil, to bring all types of treachery against the people, whether it's the releasing of plagues, the collapse of the economy, the destruction of public infrastructure, the draining of public funds and all that stuff. It's the Lord that's allowing the super elites of this world to do it, you know. So it's part of the journey. As a man of the Lord in this ministry, you get to observe what the puppets of the Lord are engaged in. All right. Yeah. So when you talk about immigration reform, what are they reforming? They're not really reforming it for the betterment of the people, because they have to make the agenda beneficial to the billionaires. If it doesn't benefit the billionaires, it's not going to be on the table. That's one thing. They're going to work, to get it off the table. That's what they do when it comes to campaign financing, all that stuff. They'll do whatever it takes to have that legislation passed, have the Supreme Court rule on it. So that's how influential they are. All right. But at the end of the day, it's only leads to their own destruction, right? Because they're basically fighting against the righteousness of the Lord. Whether they're stealing the people's wages, stealing people's lands and all that stuff by causing certain events to happen, so the folks can lose their land, lose their property, lose their parental rights. It's all, things that the Lord will hold against them. So Ezekiel chapter 33 verse 1 says, again the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the children of thy people, and say unto them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coasts, and set him for their watchman, if he see the sword come upon the land, he blew the trumpet and warned the people. Ezekiel 33 and 3. If when he see the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people. That's the job of the prophets. Okay, we have to warn the people about the events happening, the works of prophecy, the actions that are happening under the sun on the face of the earth. Verse 4, then whosoever hear the sound of the trumpet, and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. Right? So you have to be able to take accountability for your own safety, for your own, salvation. Philippians 2 and 12, let every man work out his own salvation with fear and trembling. All right? Now verse 5 says, he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him, because he that taketh warning, Ezekiel 33 and 5, he heard the sound of the trumpet and took not warning, his blood shall be upon him, but he that taketh warning shall deliver his soul. And that's just how it is. You have to take responsibility for your salvation, man. You have to be an active participant in the salvation of your soul. Verse 6, but if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. Okay, so the man of the Lord, you engage in this ministry of the Lord Amashak Yahushai, you are held accountable to a certain standard when it comes to warning the people, giving the people the directives of the Lord as per prophecy. So you cannot ignore your responsibilities that the Lord has given you to take seriously. It's of great importance. So you just have to be aware, man, that certain events, have to be noted down, and we have to make the people aware. So when the mayor of a city talks about folks protesting can be deported, it will not make sense back then, but now it makes sense. So it just shows you that a lot of all these super rich elites, man, they are aware of all the tricks in the bag that they can use to tear people apart and all that stuff. And the so-called agencies, they don't care. Folks run these agencies, they're only there for a check. They've been bought and paid for because they've already been hooked to the system of influence. They've been hooked to the system of corruption. So there's nothing they can do. The disconnect between them and American people is just growing wider and wider and wider on a daily basis. You see all the raids on restaurants, on offices and all that stuff, on construction sites. Yeah, so it's just part of the things you have to be aware of. And as a man of the Lord, you definitely could find yourself in one of these raids. You get swept up in it, but you just have to maintain your faith because you don't even know exactly when they're going to raid your workplace, when they're going to pull you over, all that stuff. So you just have to be prayerful. End of the day, don't get accustomed to comforts in Babylon, man. You have to pray that one day the Lord gives you the courage to go through the eye of the needle. So that's the the lesson. It's like it's a little bit long, but you just have to be aware about the dangers of this society and how you can prepare yourself to overcome them. So Baratuza, Yabashimashai, Brakatan, Bashim Kakadash, that's you've been edified and put us some more lesson to further prepare you on this journey for salvation. Shalom.